Go. Here we go. We are live. Welcome to the show, guys. It's Rep America with, I'm your host, Medi. And today we got White House press briefing just took place this morning. And I'm also going to go through what a lot of people haven't been able to see because of the No Kings protest. But No Kings protest was across America on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we had thank you, President Trump. So again, guys, for those of you that are just joining, I'm just going to update some of my settings here while we're going through this again. Guys, there we go. Just updating the settings. Just got started. Welcome to the stream, guys. So this is the White House press briefing that just took place this morning, and followed by, up next, we're going to have No Kings. I'm going to show a little bit of No Kings protest versus what you probably didn't see is thank you, President Trump in Washington, D.C. All of the Iranians that went and marched on D.C. to thank President Trump. Let's get started.
Back to the ongoing major combat operations in Iran. Operation Epic Fury is moving ahead successfully and according to plan. With each passing day, the United States military is increasing its advantage over the terrorist Iranian regime. More than 11,000 enemy targets have been struck to date, each strike further crippling the regime's offensive and defensive capabilities and creating more leverage for the United States and our allies. Compared to the start of the operation, Iran's ballistic missile and drone attacks are down by roughly 90%. The United States is also decimating the Iranian regime's navy. We have destroyed more than 150 of their naval vessels so far, including 92% of their largest vessels. The Iranian Navy has no vessels operating in major regional waterways and no ability to project naval power.
Yes, I just want to make a quick, yes, you guys are right. In the chat, I see Sheila saying, and she's got that mama glow because, yes, guys, she is actually pregnant. That's right. The lovely Carolyn Levitt is our press secretary, and she's currently pregnant. I believe she's due in May, and she looks wonderful as ever.
Which is why they've been assessed as combat ineffective. Our military continues to obliterate Iran's defense industrial base, with nearly 70% of their missile, drone, and naval production facilities and shipyards damaged or destroyed thus far, significantly reducing their ability to pose future threats in the region. U.S. and Israeli joint forces control the skies and have asserted air dominance over Iran, completing more than 11,000 successful combat flights thus far. The trend remains clear. The United States is conducting more intense, targeted strikes with devastating combat power with each passing day to destroy the threat posed by the Iranian terrorist regime, as President Trump sought out to do a month ago. It's no surprise that we are seeing the remaining elements of the regime become increasingly eager to end the destruction and come to the negotiating table while they still can. Despite all of the public posturing you hear from the regime and false reporting, talks are continuing and going well. What is said publicly is, of course, much different than what's being communicated to us privately.
Yep.
As a result, President Trump issued a 10-day pause to postpone planned strikes on Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure. This remains a truly once-in-a-generation opportunity for the regime to make a good deal with the United States, permanently abandon their nuclear ambitions, and stop acting.
Now, I got to stop it there to explain a few things. I know people that are Iranian are thinking, hey, why are they negotiating? And what Trump has been doing and what he's been saying publicly has been driving the regime nuts. So he's been saying he's negotiating with someone and that they're making concessions and whatnot. And this is making people in the regime go crazy because they have sworn revenge. They have sworn to do this, that, and the other. And now that we have, for everyone from the supreme leader on down, eliminated in the Islamic regime, there's very few people in power, or whatever you want to, however you want to call it, power. And of those few people that are remaining, if Trump says he's negotiating with someone, he's making some kind of deal, and someone's seems like they're the ones that are in charge, this would make that regime or whoever's still around go crazy. And they are. They've lost it. You see them doing all kinds of things that are not to their benefit. They have created enemies in their region. all of those Arab Muslim countries that are surrounding Iran are all now mad at each other, and they're going at each other. They all have condemned Iran now. All of those Arab countries that were supposed to be on their side now condemning them. So it's a wonderful tactic. I love the way that he's playing everyone. I know that for a lot of us Iranians, you're wondering, what the hell does this mean? He's negotiating. Oh, he's gonna give the regime back into the hands, or allow the regime to continue. No, there's no chance in hell that America or Israel or the Iranian people will allow any Muslim cleric to continue running that country. This is a complete departure from Islam and from Islamic governance of that country, and a complete departure from the Islamic clerics, ayatollahs, supreme leaders that have been running that country. It's not going to happen, but it's fun to watch. It's a great way for Trump to play them really well. So like what's happening, that's a tiny little bit of explanation to what she's talking about.
As the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. If the Iranians reject this golden opportunity, the greatest military in the history of the world continues to stand by to provide President Trump with every option available to ensure this regime continues to pay a grave price. One way or another, Iran will no longer have the credible ability to threaten the United States or our allies, which is, of course, the overall objective and mission the president set out when he launched Operation Epic Fury. Unfortunately, even as President Trump is working hard every single day to protect the United States from foreign enemies, Democrats on Capitol Hill have failed to do the same here at home by keeping the Department of Homeland Security unfunded. Over the past 6 weeks, Democrats in Congress have pushed our air travel system to its breaking point and inflicted massive pain on Americans with their reckless political games. 500 TSA officers quit their jobs. Thousands more were calling out sick at record rates due to the lack of pay. This resulted in security wait times exceeding 3 hours at major airports across the country, creating nightmares for millions of Americans. Overall morale among TSA staff plummeted as well, all of this creating an unacceptable heightened security risk. Because of the Democrats' unwillingness to do their basic job of funding DHS, President Trump determined that these circumstances constituted an emergency, compromising American security. That's why last week he accordingly signed a presidential memorandum directing the Secretary of Homeland Security to work with the Director of the Office of Management and Budget here at the White House to use those funds with a reasonable and logical nexus to TSA operations to provide TSA employees with the compensation and benefits that would have accrued to them but for the Democrat-led DHS shutdown. This bold and necessary action by President Trump will ensure our TSA workers receive their hard-earned paychecks. It should not have come to this point, but President Trump will always do what's right by the American people, and he found a way to do that to get TSA paid. Ensuring that these federal workers who perform critical public safety responsibilities can feed their families, pay their rent, and show up to work is something the president was honored to do. But this moment should be an eye-opening one for the American people. Let's be clear about what is happening. Democrat members of Congress are more than happy to put your safety at risk because they oppose the president's and his administration's efforts to enforce our nation's immigration law. Democrats refuse to fund ICE because they want millions and millions of illegal aliens to pour into the country just like they were under the Biden administration. They want murderers and rapists and thugs to remain in your communities rather than be removed by ICE and Border Patrol agents. The Democrats created this mess. They are the reason for long lines at airports and tens of thousands of employees going without pay. Once again, President Trump is cleaning up their mess because he cares more about the American people than destructive, petty, partisan politics. With that, I will take your questions today. Here in our new media seat, we have Wid Lyman. Thank you for being here. And why don't you kick us off?
Thank you. Happy Easter.
Thank you. You as well.
Two questions for you. Thank you. There are some concerns the administration is starting to change its position on deportations, border enforcement, possibly asylum policies. What would you say to Americans that are somewhat concerned that the shift has happened?
Sure. Well, while there has, of course, been a change in leadership at the Department of Homeland Security, with former Senator, now Secretary Mullen, joining the president's cabinet, I can assure the American people there has not been a change in policy. It has always been the policy of this president and this administration to deport the worst of the worst illegal alien criminals from our communities. That's something I know Secretary Mullen remains wholeheartedly committed to doing. And it's something that is overwhelmingly popular with the American people. And it's something that is necessary to protect our homeland and to prevent deaths of Americans in our country. Just last week, Sheridan Gorman, a young woman in Chicago, was shot and killed on the street walking with her friends outside of her university by an illegal alien from Venezuela who had no right to be here in the first place. And it's despicable that Democrats are currently defunding the department that's responsible for removing illegal aliens like that. And I would also add it's despicable that the lack of coverage of this young woman's case, of her life, and the way that it was tragically cut short. I saw
absolute lack of coverage. You don't see that. We may see it. Those of us that are on the right side may see it, that lean right. But on the left, very, very little coverage of what they just talked about that girl that lost her life at the hands of an illegal immigrant.
A survey over the weekend that I'd like to bring to all of your attention. This is the media coverage of the case of Sheridan Gorman. You have ABC News has spent 1 minute and 19 seconds between 2 days when this case was first alerted. You have CBS 2 minutes and 1 second. You have NBC 23 seconds spent on the life of a young, beautiful American woman whose life was taken short by an illegal alien who should have never been here in the first place, when we are in the middle of a battle on Capitol Hill with a major political...
They won't show this. It's crazy. You won't see it on the other side. You won't see it on mainstream media. You won't see it on CNN. She just named them off, ABC and all these other left-wing media networks. You won't see it. You won't see it. They won't show it to you. These are easy wins, though. These are easy things they can show people and show that they're reporting honestly, reporting both sides, and they'll be more respectable for it, but they won't do it.
Political party, the Democrat Party, who wants to defund the...
By the way, hello, everyone. I see everyone saying hello. Hi, Anna Kemp and Ange and everyone else and Hugh and everybody. Hello, guys. Glad to have you.
Agency that is responsible for protecting Americans. I think her life was worth more than 23 seconds on cable television, and I think the people in this room have a responsibility to report on cases like this, because it just exemplifies why the president believes so strongly in deporting illegal aliens from our communities. And thank you for the question. Dasha, go ahead.
Caroline, I have two questions, one on Iran and one on DHS funding. On Iran, the president has said that the administration is talking to a new and more reasonable regime. How confident are you that they are legitimate and have enough grip on power? Marco Rubio said earlier that he's not sure and it's not clear whether they will be in power. So are you also talking to other factions? As a president is trying to make a deal, how do you ensure that you're making a deal with the people who can actually implement it?
Well, that's part of the ongoing process that's taking place and the ongoing negotiations. Of course, anything that they say to us privately will be tested, and we will ensure that they are being held accountable to their word. And if they are not, the president has laid out the military consequences that the Iranian regime will see if they don't hold true to the words that we are hearing privately behind the scenes. When the president says more reasonable, again, these folks are appearing more reasonable behind the scenes privately in these conversations than perhaps some of the previous leaders who are now no longer on planet Earth because they lied to the United States and they strung us along in negotiations, and that was unacceptable to the president, which is why many of the previous leaders were killed. So again, this is another historic opportunity for Iran to do the right thing, to rid themselves of their nuclear ambitions and to come to a deal with this president and the administration. Or again, they will see the grave consequences of the United States Armed Forces, which they are continuing to see every day throughout this operation.
On DHS, how long can the administration keep paying TSA without action from Congress? And not to be hyperbolic, but given the airports were really the pain point that was pushing both sides to talk to each other, I mean, do you see a way for DHS to reopen? Is it possible that this keeps going through the midterms?
Well, we certainly hope so. I mean, of course, the president just can't keep signing presidential memorandums and proclamations every time Congress fails to do its job, and every time Democrats are holding our entire country hostage, picking and choosing which programs and agencies they want to fund just because they don't like this administration's policies. That's not how it's supposed to work. They voted 7 times against funding DHS over partisan and political reasons. And so, again, the president has stepped in to do the right thing at this moment in time, but the president is also encouraging Congress to come back to Washington to permanently fix this problem and to fund and reopen the Department of Homeland Security entirely.
Caroline.
Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions, one on TSA.
By the way, thank you guys for subscribing. Just hit 19,500 on YouTube. And by the way, if you're on Instagram and you want to have a more lively chat, we got 600 or so people on YouTube right now chatting. So if you want more action, you could find that on YouTube.
Say one on Iran. On TSA for ordinary Americans watching the briefing, how long until everything goes back to normal at airports after the president's action? And then on Iran, on the time frame, President Trump initially said about 4 weeks. Secretary of State Rubio on Friday reportedly said it might be another 2 to 4. Is 2 to 4 the current ballpark that the administration is thinking?
With respect to the timeline, again, the president, commander-in-chief, the Pentagon has always stated 4 to 6 weeks estimated timeline for Operation Epic Fury. We're on day 30 today. So again, you do the math on how much longer the Pentagon needs to fully achieve the objectives of Operation Epic Fury, which I will reiterate: destroy the Iranian Navy, destroy their ballistic missiles, dismantle their missile and drone production infrastructure, significantly weaken their proxies throughout the course of this operation, and then, of course, preventing Iran from ever obtaining a nuclear weapon. To your first question, Stephen, about TSA and airports, nothing will be truly normal again until Democrats do the right thing to fund this agency fully. Again, the president has stepped in the meantime to do what's right to end this crisis that we've had at air travel and at airports across the country in the meantime. But again, Congress needs to come back. Democrats need to fund the Department of Homeland Security so we can formally and fully get these great employees paid long into the future.
Caroline.
Jonathan.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. 2 questions regarding the financial costs of the war. Back during the Persian Gulf War, 1990, 1991, Arab countries paid for the vast majority of the cost of the war. Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the UAE. Who's paying for the cost of this war? Will those Arab countries step up to do just that?
Well, I think it's something the president would be quite interested in calling them to do. I won't get ahead of him on that, but certainly it's an idea that I know that he has and something that I think you'll hear more from him on.
And then secondly, the cost of diesel is averaging at $5.38 a gallon right now. What's the message from the Trump administration to truck drivers who are dealing with those high fuel costs right now?
Again, we understand, we hear you, we see you. We are fully tracking this short-term fluctuation in oil and in diesel prices. And that's why the president and the administration have continually announced robust actions to provide stability in the global energy market. As you know, political risk insurance, one of those actions, allowing countries to purchase sanctioned oil just to increase the supply. In the meantime, we've worked to release 400 billion barrels of oil and refined products as well. We issued the 60-day Jones Act waiver. All of this has, with the goal of increasing supply to create stabilization in the market in the meantime. But the overall message.
Okay, just a quick little explanation on this. For those people talking about gas prices and look at this war and gas prices, look what Trump did. He said he's going to lower gas, all this kind of stuff you hear out there. A quick little search will explain this to you. Gas prices today, this is on ChatGPT, which is left-leaning, as you all know. Gas prices today are still lower than the peak under Biden. Where were all of you guys on the left, all of you Democrats, when gas prices were higher than they are now under Biden?
As we've repeatedly stated, as again, these are short-term.
Oh, you actually put it in there. And Anna can't put it. Look at that. There you go.
actions and short-term price fluctuations for the long-term benefit of ending the threat that Iran poses to the United States of America, our troops, and our allies in the region, and ensuring that this regime can no longer control the world's free flow of energy through the Strait of Hormuz, which is something the administration continues to tackle day by day as well. Jennifer.
Just two questions. Which Jennifer?
I'll go to both of them.
Go ahead. So two questions. One on China and one on Iran. On China, ahead of the president's trip to Beijing, will there be a working level meeting with Secretary Bessent, Jameson Greer, et cetera, and when will that be?
I do expect cabinet officials to travel to China ahead of time. I don't have a readout on their schedules for you, but this is something we typically do with international travel, as you know. So I'll talk to the Treasury Department and the cabinet myself, and we'll get you that answer. But we do expect them to move ahead of time.
Okay, and thank you. And on Iran, if Iran is kind of cherry picking what tankers get to go through the strait now and contemplating big tolls on those tankers, is that consistent, or how is that consistent really with the president's message about really wanting the strait to be fully open? Does the administration support a regime or system where Iran is effectively charging tolls on these vessels to access?
That's not something we support, and I would reject that they are cherry picking. In fact, as you know, these tankers that are moving through, the 10 that were previously announced and now the new 20, the announcement of 20 additional tankers, which we expect to see over the coming days, are a result of the direct and indirect talks that are taking place between the United States and Iran. So you wouldn't have seen those tankers if not for the president's diplomacy and his team engaging on this matter, which we expect that compliance moving forward. And it's, again, something that we're working on very closely. Sure. And behind the tank in the back right there, you put up your hand very excitingly. Go ahead.
Hannah from News Nation.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking my question. I have two for you real quick. There are reports that Republicans are weighing cuts to health care in order to make way for that $200 billion for the Pentagon and Operation Epic Fury. Is that a trade-off that President Trump supports?
I've seen these reports. I haven't spoken to the president about it, nor have I heard this being discussed in any high-level meetings here at the White House. I don't want to weigh in definitively because I just haven't heard that being discussed here in the West Wing.
And then secondly, I know President Trump says we're ahead of schedule in achieving his military objectives in Iran. He laid out that 4 to 6 week timetable for the...
A couple of hot reporters in there. We had Mary Margaret Olohan there, but they weren't panning to that part of the audience. Someone in the chat said, during my argument, I was saying gas prices, fuel prices in general, not just gas, diesel, all kinds of fuel prices are lower now still than they were under Biden. And then his argument was, you're comparing trash versus garbage. Okay. First of all, you're a Trump hater. We'll hit the button on you for that one.
You are a Trump hater. No. And you're a beta male.
And we're going to have to reiterate the second part of that.
Beta male. Beta.
And so it's funny because you're saying what presidents I'm comparing to, and how about the gas prices? If you're mad about gas prices right now, what are you comparing them to? Right? What are you comparing them to? So I'm comparing the presidents and the fact that you didn't say shit under President Biden when gas prices were high. Inflation was crazy high, highest they've been in 50 years, mind you. And you guys didn't say a damn word. Okay? Not only did you not say a word, your president came out and said, oh, the economy's fine. I won't change a thing. And then when he couldn't, compete with Trump and it turned out he was brain dead, they put Kamala Harris and then she came out and said, I won't do anything either. So, but the question is, what are you comparing the gas price? Fuel prices are high right now? Okay, what are you comparing them to? Well, let's compare them if that's the case. Compare them to what they were under the president that you would still rather have besides Trump. You would rather have Biden. Every single person on the left that I've ever asked, who would you rather have? If it was Biden, would you rather have Biden right now than Trump? They would say Biden. You guys would rather have a brain dead president who, in my opinion, it fits more to be a king because he didn't get the votes to become nominated. He literally didn't. He's the second in a row. There was 3 of your presidential nominees in a row who never got the votes to become the presidential nominees in your party. Hillary Clinton did not win. Actually, who was it? Who was it? Why am I blanking on this guy's name? Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is the one that actually got more votes than Hillary Clinton. They said, nah, we're not going to let you choose with your votes. Your own Democratic Party didn't let you choose with your votes. Instead of Bernie Sanders that you voted for, they gave you Hillary Clinton, who ended up losing miserably. And then your next presidential candidate was who? Biden, which none of you voted for. So who's the king? Trump, who got elected, who was voted for, who got the votes from his party, or Biden, Kamala, Hillary. Kamala didn't get a single vote. Not even. I mean, we don't even have to talk about her. She didn't even get a single vote. Yet you guys running around saying no kings. So it's an absolute joke. I know I'm bouncing around, but there's just too much. There's just too much material there.
This conflict.
It's too easy.
And we're now within week 5. So how do you square kind of those two?
Well, 4 to 6 weeks estimated timeline. Again, you just said we're on day 30 of the operation. I just provided you with some of the updates from the Pentagon directly in achieving the objectives, and the military has been enormously successful. I think we should all be.
Someone says you're just yapping about bullshit you can't prove. What can I not prove? What was it? Bernie Sanders was the one who the Democrats voted in the primaries. That's who the literally Democrats voted for Bernie Sanders. He got more votes, and they gave you Hillary Clinton instead, who ended up losing. Where's the BS? Where's the bullshit? Actually, you're the one lying, right? I got a button for you. Where is it?
That's a lie.
So, and then you got Biden. Biden did not get votes to become the presidential nominee for the Democrats. Another fact. Here's another one. Kamala Harris. You guys would have won. Democrats would have won the presidential election last year against Trump if they would have let the Democrats vote for their nominees. You would have won. You know, you could have even won with Kamala. There's one simple way they could have won with Kamala. They could have just gone with Shapiro as the vice president. It was plain as day. Just pick Shapiro to be your VP. And no, she went with who? Drum roll, please. Tampon Tim. She went with Tampon Tim because you know why? Because Shapiro as her VP would have outshined Kamala Harris. Kamala. Let me try this button here. Hold on.
Kamala. Trump 2028.
Oh, it's too good.
Be very proud of our armed forces for what they have done over the past 30 days. The mission will continue until the objectives are achieved, and that 4 to 6 week timeline does remain right now. I don't have any updates for you on that.
Caroline. Yeah, like others, one on TSA, one on Iran. On Iran, I know it's tough to engage in.
We got more cute reporters in there. We got one behind him, and then where's Mary Margaret Olohan?
Hypotheticals, but I feel like this is one that you could engage in if the president does
Probably not, but
if the president does seek, or the United States seeks a ground war, does he intend to get congressional authorization of that march?
Look, the president has been asked about boots on the ground or alleged ground operations various times. He's obviously declined to rule them out. It's the Pentagon's job to provide maximum optionality to the president. It does not mean he's made a decision, nor would he ever notify the media of such decision as not to tip off.
A question about boots on the ground, and we're not going to get an answer to that, but I think we all have an idea what's going to happen, but we'll see. We'll wait to see. In the chat, someone says, but Shapiro did have some baggage with the court case he covered up. The only baggage Shapiro had was that he was Jewish, and the whole left side of our country hates Jews now for whatever reason. I know why. Islam, the leaders of Islam in the Middle East have been paying to brainwash the people on the left to hate Jews. They quickly realized that their money is better spent brainwashing people on the left in the Western countries instead of building weapons to defeat the West. They just decided to spend money on propaganda, and it works. They brainwashed the whole left to hate Jews. That's why when it was time for Kamala Harris to pick a VP, instead of picking the winner, who would have been Shapiro, she picked Tampon Tim and ended up losing. It was an easy win. It was done. Kamala was the DEI president, plain as day. She's, I don't know if she's Indian or she's black or she's this or she's that. Who knows what she is? She flip-flop on that a couple of times. And she's a female on top of that. So it was a great DEI hire, greatest DEI hire. It was a slam dunk, but you just could not pull it off. All you had to do was pick Shapiro. It was done. That's all you had to do. Why did you not pick Shapiro? Because he was better than Kamala. He would outshine her, and because he was Jewish and they hate Jews. Now dude, the propaganda from Islam is so strong that they even got people on the right hating Jews. Crazy times.
Our enemy with respect to abiding by Congress and the rule of law. That's something the administration will, of course, always do, and it's something that we have great respect for Congress. The president does with military operations. In fact, prior to the launch of Operation Epic Fury, as you know, the administration gave a courtesy notice to Congress in the Gang of Eight. You
guys are still talking about make America prices high again. Let me put this on the screen. If you guys want to make prices high again and then you want to increase inflation, next time just hire a Democrat president. They'll do that for you. Yeah, your last one did, and you guys cheered him on. And if you want to do that, hire, but not with us. With Trump, we're lowering inflation and we're lowering cost of goods. We're bringing back jobs to America. We're bringing manufacturing to America. We're making the American dollar still to stay the standard of the world. And a whole host of other things. We're going to be number one in a lot of things. Right now, if you hear the talks from NVIDIA's CEO, you would know that we're going to be number one in AI. We're going to be number one in so many things. But it's a good time. 1 year we laid a lot of the groundwork in this first year, and we're going to celebrate America's 250th in June, in July. So in a few months, we're going to celebrate our 250th. Then from there, you're going to see all of this groundwork that we laid, all this stuff all this hard, the hard part, all this pain in the beginning is going to end up paying off in the next 2.5, 3+ years. And it's going to keep going. And hopefully we've done things that to the point where we can't have a Democrat come in and undo some of these things in 2028 if they were to get elected. But I don't see that happening. I think it's going to be 2028. I think will it be Trump 2028?
Trump 2028.
Top-level administration officials and cabinet secretaries have gone to Congress multiple times over the past 30 days to provide those courtesy briefings to Congress when requested.
Triggering lefties, bro. It's so easy.
On TSA quickly, I've been asked by multiple Trump supporters that have said, given the fact that the president on that Friday gave that memorandum informing DHS to pay TSA workers, I know there's a lot of negotiations involved in a shutdown of this size. Why did the president not sooner issue that payment to TSA workers?
Well, it's because of the Democrats voting 7 times against reopening the Department of Homeland Security that we came to a place of an existential crisis. I mean, you saw the lines at various major airports across the country, American travelers really paying the price for Democrats' partisan games. And so the president worked with his legal team here at the White House and the Office of Management and Budget to find a solution to take care of the emergency that we were seeing in air travel across the country. And it's because of the president that TSA agents are being paid. But again, he's calling on Congress to do the right thing, to come back to Washington and to fund and reopen the Department of Homeland Security fully. Sure.
Nice. We got someone spamming bananas in the chat. I think they're in love with Ilhan Omar. I think they want bananas and rice. Are you Somalian?
Lindsay Ellis from the Wall Street Journal. I'm trying to square the 4 objectives laid out by the administration with the goal of reopening fully the Strait of Hormuz. Would President Trump declare victory and wind down military operations if the 4 objectives are met, but still passage remains quite slow through the strait?
Look, as I've said repeatedly and as the president has laid out, the objectives of Operation Epic Fury are as follows: destroying the Iranian Navy, destroying their ballistic missiles, dismantling their defense industrial infrastructure that produces those weapons that have long threatened the United States and our allies, and then, of course, preventing Iran from ever obtaining a nuclear weapon. The full reopening of the strait is something the administration is working towards, but the core objectives of the operation have been clearly defined for the American people by the Commander-in-Chief. Garrett.
The president posted this morning about his threat that on leaving Iran, he said we might blowing up and completely obliterating all of their electric generating plants, oil wells, Harg Island, and possibly all desalinization plants. Under international law, striking civilian infrastructure like that is generally prohibited. Why is the president threatening what would amount to potentially a war crime with the U.S. military? And how do you square that with the administration repeatedly saying that the U.S. does not target civilians?
Look, the president has made it quite clear to the Iranian regime at this moment in time, as evidenced by the statement that you just read, that their best move is to make a deal, or else the United States Armed Forces has capabilities beyond their wildest imagination, and the president is not afraid to use them. That's not what I said, Garrett, and you're saying the word potential for a reason, because I'm sure some experts are telling you that in your ear to try to ask me that question. Of course, this administration and the United States Armed Forces will always act within the confines of the law. But with respect to achieving the full objectives of Operation Epic Fury, President Trump is going to move forward unabated, and he expects the Iranian regime to make a deal with the administration.
To that end, which of those objectives would...
Yes, whoever said Iran never have nuclear, you're absolutely right. Not anymore. They will no longer have a chance to have it.
Destroying a desalinization plant most help.
Haley, go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. I want to follow up on Iran. When you're just...
There's Mary Margaret Olohan. She's in the white up here. She's right there in the white jacket up top.
Describing that the Iranians you're in contact with
Should we
are
put it on the
being
screen?
more reasonable this time around in discussions. What specifically are you hearing that is leading you to that conclusion, and how are you defining what's reasonable versus unreasonable in that regard?
I'm not going to detail the private and sensitive conversations that are taking place between the United States and Iran right now.
But generally speaking.
Generally speaking, the president gave you the answer. What we're hearing from them is more reasonable. They have agreed to some of the points the United States laid out, as the president said last night aboard Air Force One. But again, as for the specifics, as these...
There you go. That's Mary Margaret Olohan from Daily Wire. She's over there in the white jacket in the back, but that's a picture if you can't see her up close.
Negotiations are ongoing. We're not going to broadcast them to the world unless the president chooses to do so, which he has the full right to do as the leader of the free world.
Caroline. On Cuba, the president...
We also got Caroline Levitt. I'm going to pull that up too. This is what I used to, in the past, I used to have what I called the palate cleansers. Every once in a while, we'll put some of these up and take a look.
Threaten to tear any country that would send oil.
Conservative women are pretty hot, guys, right? Don't you agree? Oh, dude, we got
to Cuba, but now the U.S. is letting this Russian tanker to Cuba. Is this a policy change, or is he willing to let more tankers into Cuba now?
This is not a policy change. There has not been a formal change in sanction policy. As the president said last night, we allowed this ship to reach Cuba in order to provide humanitarian needs to the Cuban people. These decisions are being made on a case-by-case basis. And as the administration has said, Cuba's non-functional economy cannot be fixed unless they undergo dramatic political and leadership change. But there has been no formal change with respect to sanction policy.
So you could expect more tankers to go to Cuba?
Again, these decisions are being made on a case-by-case basis right now.
Thanks, Caroline. You addressed this a little bit in the opening, but just to follow up, because Americans are sort of seeing these conflicting messages between the United States and Iran. I know the president insists that negotiations are underway. As you just mentioned, he's also said that Iran has agreed to most of the 15 points.
The lovely Carolyn Levitt. There she is. But she's pregnant now. Still looks amazing. Probably better
so
now.
So how do you square that? How do you explain that discrepancy between the two?
I think the American people are smart enough not to take the word of a terrorist regime that has chanted death to America for 47 years at their word. And I hope the journalists in this room are wise enough not to take an Iranian regime.
I like this one. The chicken has risen. What's up, dude? Good to have you back. He says, conservative women have more balls than liberal men. It's so funny. It's a big conundrum, dude. Liberals. It's a big thing. the liberals started hating men, so men turned into women. They transitioned to women so that women will like them. Then they said, no, we don't want, we don't even like men that transition to women.
That is repeatedly
dude, it's so
lied.
Sad. It's so sad.
About our country, about our values, about everyone in this room, frankly, for nearly 5 decades. So I think the American public are smart enough to understand that.
And just to follow up on the objectives, you've laid them out, but I know the president has set a deadline for April 6th in just 1 week. What does the president need to see to not move forward with those strikes by April 6th?
Well, I think he said it in his Truth Social post this morning. He wants to see a deal over the next 10 days. That timeline is waning, several days left, and we'll see. I won't get ahead of it. We'll see what happens in the end of the 10-day period.
Caroline, thank you. One on Iran, one on the shutdown. The president continues to say the U.S. is in conversations with a more reasonable regime, but there are now hundreds of U.S. Special Operations Forces, including Navy SEALs and Army Rangers in the Middle East, as well as thousands of other troops already deployed. So is he trying to end or intensify the conflict?
The president is focused on achieving the objectives of Operation Epic Fury. With respect to forces that are on the ground in the Middle East, it's the job of the Pentagon to create maximum optionality for the commander-in-chief. It does not mean the president has made any additional decisions. Again, he remains focused on ensuring that the Pentagon continues to achieve the objectives of the operation that was launched 30 days ago, and we're well on our way to doing that.
Another good question says, why is Trump dealing with Ghalibaf? Ghalibaf is one of the supposed leaders that are still alive in the Islamic regime. We don't know who he's really dealing with. And he is playing all of them. He's making them so mad. It's so funny to watch. It's a beautiful thing to see. He's making everyone in the Islamic Republic government mad as hell, and they're losing the war, and it's about to be over. So just stay tuned. We're going to keep going back and forth every once in a while on these streams and watching some of the live streams of the live cams and stuff like that out there. So hopefully we can catch the very end of this war, but very unlikely to see it live, but we'll do our best.
So if an American sit at home hearing him say, I want to talk, but I keep seeing them send troops to that region, what are they to make of what's going on?
There's 2 tracks here. The president has always said that diplomacy is his #1 option and priority. Again, he tried earnestly, in good faith, to engage in diplomacy.
Yeah, I love it when people tell me that I'm being paid by this and that and the other and the 7K and all that stuff. Believe me, I'm not allergic to money. I've said this many times. I'm not allergic to getting paid. But up until now, still, I'm just paid by myself. I created a few businesses for myself along the years. I broke my back and killed myself to make those businesses, but I did. Not physically broke my back, but you get the point. And so luckily, after failing more than anyone's ever failed in more than anyone I've ever seen fail in my life, finally made it successful, finally got to be able to do what I like and get paid. I would love to make this my #1 income, but it's not even my income yet. So we'll see how that goes.
Diplomacy with the Iranian regime prior to this operation being.
If you want to pay me, I'm not allergic to your money. I'm not allergic to money, bro.
Launched in the first place. He wanted to strike a deal, and he sent his top negotiators to do so. They spent extensive amount of time and effort trying to strike a deal, and unfortunately, the previous regime, again, many of those leaders no longer with us here on Earth because they faced the consequences of the United States military. So if there's ever a chance for a deal, again, the president is open to listening, but it does not deter him from focusing on the military objectives that he set out 30 days ago, and that our military is continuing to achieve day by day.
On the shutdown, he signed the national emergency order last Thursday.
I gotta bring back all the palate cleansers for the chat, dude. I gotta bring it back. We got the 2, but they're not transitioning so easy. I have to move the screens around, but I'm gonna work on that and bring those palate cleansers back. Here's one of them right here. Again, this is Carolyn Levitt, guys, right here, our White House press secretary, the beautiful, wonderful Carolyn Levitt that speaks so well and puts the reporters in their place, dude. Handles it so good. She can speak so well.
Making sure TSA officers will be paid. There's still other civilian DHS employees, however, who are not being paid.
Yes.
He signed something similar.
Way better than our last White House press. Remember the last one, dude? Oh my God, bro, what a disaster that was.
To ensure they also get paid?
Look, the president will always look into ways that we can make sure that the American people are being taken care of and doing what's right by the American people. But again, it's ridiculous that the president even has to go to the length of working with the legal team and the Office of Management and Budget to identify these funds. It is the job of Congress to fund.
Jake is a beta. Is that what I heard? Jake is a beta male? Let's hit it on him.
Beta male. Beta male.
That's Jake, baby. Let's go.
These agencies. And Democrats in Congress have voted 7 times against funding the Department of Homeland Security. Congress should come back and they should get it done. The president, again, made the decision to prevent this existential crisis we were seeing at our nation's airports across the country that was only going to get worse. And that's why he wants Congress to do his job.
If you don't mind, since you mentioned...
I'll go to you as well.
Okay, you're welcome. Since you mentioned Easter and prayers, I wanted to ask you about something the Pope said yesterday. So Pope Leo said yesterday, and I quote him, God does not listen to the prayer of those who wage war. Can you comment on that?
I think our nation was a nation founded 250 years ago almost on Judeo-Christian values, and we've seen presidents, we've seen the leaders of the Department of War, and we've seen our troops go to prayer during the most turbulent times in our nation's history. And I don't think there's anything wrong with our military leaders or with the president calling on the American people to pray for our service members and those who are serving our country overseas. In fact, I think it's a very noble thing to do. And if you talk to many service members, they will tell you they appreciate the prayers and support from the Commander-in-Chief and from his cabinet.
Caroline, thank you. President Trump told the New York Post that a response is coming shortly to Tehran attacking Israel's largest oil refinery. Is there a timeline on that? Is that tied to the success or not of the negotiations?
I don't have any updates for you on the president's comments.
Still consider the IRGC in control of Iran?
Well, look, as Secretary Rubio said today, the leadership is very fragmented. We have really neutered their intercommunication systems, and that's part of this process of diplomacy to continue figuring out exactly who's in charge. I know they appointed...
Oh, no, Ange, what did I do? Did I forget? Did I not post something?
A new Ayatollah, haven't seen or heard much from him. And so that's part of this diplomatic process that's underway right now. I'll take a few more. Solon.
Thank you. You listed the described humanitarian reasons for allowing that oil tanker to reach Cuba. Just to clarify, why was the administration okay with Russia sending that oil to Cuba and not other nations?
Look, again, this was a decision. It'll continue to be made on a case-by-case basis for humanitarian reasons or otherwise, but there's been no firm change in our...
Oh, the palate cleanser. I got a couple still. I got to pull the... Hold on, let me find those.
Sanctions policy.
For the ladies, I know. Sorry, Ange. I got some. Yes, you're absolutely right. I forgot you girls.
President Sheinbaum of Mexico also said that Mexico is exploring different ways to restart some of those shipments to Cuba. Is the administration okay with that at this time?
Again, there's been no change in our sanction policy. We still reserve the right to seize vessels if it's legally applicable that are headed towards Cuba and that violate the United States sanction policy. But of course, the president and the administration also reserve the right to waive those seizures on a case-by-case basis.
Here's a palate cleanser for the ladies, guys. There you go, Ange. Gonna really trigger the lefties on this one. Oh, Barron Trump, maybe? Should we get Barron Trump on there? Hold on. I got Barron. Hold on, Barron. Is he on there? Where is he at? Oh, yeah. How about that? For the younger ladies?
Clarify, just any more Russian oil tankers going to be allowed to reach Cuba at this time? I know you say case by case, but for the case of Russia, is it pretty much green light right now?
No, that's not what I said. It's a case-by-case basis. Sure, Jeff, go ahead.
Switching topics, the president has always attended CPAC. He did not this year. Why did he not attend, and does he believe CPAC is becoming less relevant?
No, I don't think he believes that at all. In fact, he loves CPAC and has a very good relationship with the great people who run it, Mercedes and Matt Schlapp. It was just simply for scheduling purposes this year, with it being in Texas. It was best for the president's schedule and what he has on his plate right now not to go.
Carolina.
Michael.
Thank you, Caroline. If and when a deal is finalized with Iran, how does the U.S. provide protection to who it's negotiating with to ensure that they can carry out the president's peace plan?
Again, that's something I'm sure our national security team is discussing. I don't have anything for you on that today.
Caroline, can you tell us more about this massive military complex underneath the president's new ballroom?
I cannot tell you more about that, actually, as a matter of fact. However, the military is making some upgrades to their facilities here at the White House, and I'm not privy to provide any more details on that this time. Caroline, go ahead. Reagan.
Thanks, Caroline. Question on the Middle East and then a question on Antifa. Netanyahu said Sunday that Cardinal Pizzaballa will be able to hold services for Palm Sunday in the Church of Holy Sepulchre after he was initially blocked by Israeli police. Did anyone from the administration or the president call over to Israeli officials to assist the cardinal in this?
Yes, I did speak with Secretary Rubio this morning, and we did express our concerns with Israel with respect to these holy sites being shut down. We want worshipers to be able to access these holy sites. Of course, safety is a top priority, but we understand Israel is working on those security measures to reopen the sites throughout Holy Week, and that's something that we're appreciative of.
Antifa. In Texas, 9 people have been convicted by a federal jury on domestic terrorist charges connected to Antifa. The White House has previously indicated that you guys are investigating Antifa, who's funding them, who's leading them. Can you provide an update on how that investigation is going, and do you think we're going to see more charges against people connected to Antifa?
Well, I do know that there was an entire task force that was set up, an interagency task force to focus on the threat of Antifa, which, as you know, Reagan, this president declared a domestic terrorist organization, rightfully.
Anna Paulina Luna, guys, Anna Paulina Luna. Congresswoman.
And we will continue to look into it. I don't have any updates on those specific investigations, but I'd be happy to have my team get those over to you today, as this continues to be of the utmost importance to the president and his domestic policy agenda.
Caroline, JJ. On one question on landmines, there's been some reporting that American-made landmines have been spotted on the ground in Iran. Did President Trump sign off on using U.S.-made landmines in Iran?
I don't have any comment on that report today.
Caroline, whether they're being used at all?
I don't have any comment on that.
Karen.
Two on DHS. You said that the president is encouraging Congress to come back to D.C.
All right, I got the palate cleansers up. They're ready for the next stream. A little more smooth, but we got them now too. So whenever we want, we can pop those up.
You also said yourself. How has he done that? Has he told leadership that they should cancel recess and come back?
He said it repeatedly. I think you recall. He said that he'll host a big Easter dinner here at the White House if Congress will come back and fight the Democrats on this issue, which we should do. Because again, the Democrat Party is in the wrong here. They have voted 7 times against funding the Department of Homeland Security, which is completely egregious with everything we have going on in the world. And these brave men and women who serve DHS deserve to get their paychecks. The president wants to see that happen, and he wants Congress to come back to get it done.
On the paychecks, Caroline.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're gonna go over to No Kings. I'm gonna show you the difference between the No Kings and the Thank You Trumps in a second. Let me just transition over to that for us. Oh. Want to watch one? Here we go.
And I just, it is not for black people, for people of color to get out on the street. They're at risk when they do that. If anybody's going to get arrested here, it's going to be a black person. It is not safe for them, and they don't need to participate. We need to walk in their name.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. Okay. What do you think about voter ID? Do you think it's
he doesn't even know what to say to that. He's like, what the hell?
Racist?
It's 100% a tactic to control the population and prevent people from voting, so that the only votes so that the gerrymandering can work, so that white voters can vote in white Christian males.
Have you been voting blue most of your life?
I voted blue in the womb.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
If you had to vote for a Republican, J.D. Vance or Rubio, which one would you pick if you had to?
Yeah. I would slit my throat.
Ooh. Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Neither one of them is better than the other. They're both the bottom of the barrel.
So you would take your own life instead of voting for one of them, too?
I just hope that nature catches up with me, if that's what.
So this is the No Kings, right? with someone that is literally elected a lot within a free country who, by the way, is operating under the constitutional law, letting these people protest freely, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of whatever. They say whatever they want about Trump all day long, up and down America. You don't care, just lets them do it, right? I mean, apparently somehow he's a king. Meanwhile, the very next day,
the mainstream media was just caught refusing to cover a massive protest in Washington, D.C. today, despite the fact that they spent...
This is yesterday, the day after No Kings protest. This is Sunday.
Yesterday giving wall-to-wall coverage to the ever-shrinking No Kings protest. Let me play this clip for you, and it'll be really clear why the media is trying to shove this under the rug.
Thank you, Trump! Thank you, Trump! Thank you, Trump! No, thank you, Trump!
What do you see? American flags, Israeli flags, Iranian flags. Thank you, Trump. Thank you, Trump. The left, this is why the left is so mad about what's happening with Iran right now. Because 100 million Iranians are now forever grateful and thankful for America and President Trump. And the left hates that.
I want to thank you all for being here today.
So earlier today, tens of thousands of proud Iranian Americans gathered at the National Mall. But it wasn't just the National Mall. They actually marched through the streets of Washington, D.C., even passing by the Treasury Department. And someone actually took an 11-minute video, and I clipped some of my favorite moments from that video. And even at the end of the 11 minutes, the crowd goes on as far as the eye can see. So this is just a fraction of the...
Now, I have to say, this guy did a great job covering it, and I think he's right-leaning. But the number of cats in his apartment, it's not normal for someone that's right-leaning, but it's all good. It's all good, bro. We don't hate. We're open to everybody, bro. You're good.
Crowd that was in D.C. earlier today. Take a look.
Look, American flag, the American flag is waving. It's not upside down. It's not burning. It's not being stepped on. It's being proudly hung up high. You see that? USA, chanting USA, USA, USA. Look at that. Not only were they waving U.S. flags, they were holding it around them. They were as you know, they were like a cape or whatever. All over. Look, U.S. flag, USA flags, USA flags, all over. This is the difference, guys. This is the difference.
Just absolutely incredible sights. And of course, the mainstream media is refusing to cover this because it goes against everything that they've been trying to push. Oh, President Trump is a racist. The only people who support him are white racists, white supremacists. Yet here you have Iranian Americans, Persians, proud of their home country. And they're saying, thank you, Trump. They're chanting USA. And just look at the actual diversity here. Here you have more American flags at a pro-Iranian, a pro-regime change rally than you had at all of the No Kings protests yesterday. Doesn't that say something? Just think about it. The No Kings protests are supposedly about protecting democracy, protecting the United States of America, protecting our republic, yet we saw more American flags today at this one pro-Iranian regime change rally than we did at all of the No Kings protests yesterday combined. And by the way, there were over 3,000 of those protests. And on top of that, here we have, again, actual diversity. You had American flags, Iranian flags, the real Iranian flag at that, as well as Israeli flags. Everyone is coexisting, everyone was peaceful, and I don't know about you, but to me, everyone here was actually happy, joyful. There was a spirit of...
You know what? Someone just brought up a good point. Sarah Kasara, I think it is, says, what is not being discussed is the amount of trash that they leave on the ground. That's the interesting part. Whenever we have an Iranian rally like you saw saying, thank you, President Trump, they're walking around after the rally, picking up all the trash and making sure not to litter, nothing. Versus when you have the lefties out there, you got trash everywhere. The whole place is trashed.
I mean, just the vibes. We talked about how 24 was a vibes-based election. Here, the vibes are a lot more positive, a lot more energetic compared to the hateful and the negative and just the dreary No Kings protest. Now, I know a lot of people out there are going to be saying, well, Daniel, did that actually happen in Washington, D.C. today? Are you sure that that footage isn't from another day or another city? Well, actually, there was one mainstream outlet that covered this, but they buried the lead. This is from NPR. This is how they chose to cover it. Understanding why some Iranian Americans support the war on their country of origin. Seriously, that is the headline. They could have covered this rally, this protest, any other.
And that was what he just showed was NPR, and you wonder why we want to defund NPR. Not defund like stop whatever money they have, but defund basically taxpayer money going to NPR. Why was taxpayer money going to NPR? It makes no sense in a country like America where why would we be paying a news outlet, especially when they're one-sided? It's crazy.
Way, but that was the spin that NPR chose to put on this. Now, let's take a closer look. This date, March 29, so it was today, published at 5:23 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, they buried the lead here. Protesters from the Iranian diaspora in the United States gathered in Washington, D.C. as the war in the Middle East broadens. Many say they're aligned with the U.S. and Israel and explain why they want to see regime change in Tehran. Had this been any other cause, had this been any other protest, such as the No Kings protest, they would have led with the number. They would have led with streets crowded, streets flooded, thousands of protesters. Yet here, they don't cover that in their headline. They know this. They know that most people don't take the time to click on an article and actually read it. They know that most people get their news based on the headline, based on the preview when it shows up on Facebook or whatever social media site you're on. So this is definitely intentional to cover the energy that's happening on the right side of the aisle here. Now, what's really interesting about all of this is Washington, D.C., the establishment, the experts, they don't know who they want to back in Iran yet. They are throwing a lot of doubt on Reza Pahlavi, yet all of these protesters, all of these actual Persians, Iranian Americans, they are rallying around the exiled crown prince. Just take a look at these chants in front of the National Mall.
Islamic regime has got to go! Islamic regime has to go! Say his name, Reza Pahlavi! Say his name! Reza Pahlavi! Say his name! Reza Pahlavi! Democracy for Iran! Human rights for Iran! Human rights for Iran!
Now, obviously, Iranians here in America, they don't necessarily speak for the people still living in Iran, but I imagine they still have family connections. And so it's just interesting. We'll see how the power dynamics, the power vacuum ends up playing out. But it's clear that Reza Pahlavi does have a lot of support here in the States. And this was really clear at CPAC. So you might not have heard a lot about CPAC this year. Usually CPAC is just a huge event, huge speakers. President Trump has gone many, many times before, but this year President Trump actually didn't show up. And there was a lot.
I think I found the NPR clip I was looking for. Where is it? It's almost here. Oh, I found another one I was looking for. Hang on one second. Oh, did it? Oh, yeah. Yeah, hold on. Let's see here.
There was no.
Oh, you know what? I lost it. Where did it go? Where did you go? I'll find it again for you.
A lot of chatter about attendance being down at CPAC. A lot of leftists and liberals were making fun at the empty seats, but it was really astonishing to me that at CPAC, one of the largest crowds, if not the largest crowds, was actually for Reza Pahlavi, the exiled Iranian crown prince. And just take a look at the reception he got at CPAC.
I'll be honest, I was watching CPAC the whole time, and I don't think any single speaker got as much of an ovation as him.
Now, isn't that interesting? CPAC, if you're not familiar, stands for the Conservative Political Action Committee. I was told by the media, I was told by the Democrats that, oh, Republicans, conservatives, they're all racist. They're all white supremacists. Yet here they are standing up cheering. It was a packed room for the exiled crown.
Found it. Here we go.
Never of political bias determining editorial decisions. Never seen any instance of of political bias determining editorial decisions. No.
Should we keep giving our taxpayer money to NPR? That's what this hearing is about. And look at the caption up top. 87 people are registered on NPR. 87 registered Democrats, 0 are Republicans. These are people that are working at NPR, the reporters or the writers. Check it out.
87 registered Democrats, 0 Republicans. Is that accurate?
We do not track the numbers or the voter registration, but I find that
was award-winning journalist who worked 25 years at NPR, Mr. Berliner. Was he lying when he wrote that?
I am not presuming such. I just we don't track that information about our journalists.
87 to 0, and you're not biased.
I think that is concerning if those numbers are accurate.
How about this story? October 2020, the New York Post had the Hunter Biden laptop story. And one of those editors, I guess one of those 87 Democrat editors, said this: we don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories. We don't want to waste the listeners' and readers' times on stories that are just pure distractions. Was that a pure distraction story?
Our current editorial leadership believes that that was a mistake, as do I.
Yeah, the whole country knows that was a mistake. Definitely impacted the election, or I think it certainly impacted the election. How about the COVID origin story? That's a pretty big story too, right? Mr. Berliner said, we became fervent members of the team Natural Origin, even declaring that the lab leak was debunked by scientists. Turns out, though, the lab leak is what most people think actually caused the COVID virus.
Sorry, is there a question there?
There is. You guys were 0 for 3 on the three of the biggest stories in the last 5 years. You guys were 0 for 3, and yet you maintain that NPR is not biased?
Congressman, I do not believe we are politically biased. No, we are a nonpartisan organization.
It wasn't even 80 to 7. It was 87 Democrats, 0 Republicans, and you say NPR is not biased.
Congressman, I have never seen any instance of political bias determining editorial decisions.
So that's NPR. Why the hell were we spending taxpayer money on NPR? Can you guys explain that? It makes 0 sense to me. No sense whatsoever. And then, by the way, this is to those people saying no kings. And I was explaining earlier how for the past 3 elections, Democrats didn't let you vote for your presidential nominees. This is for you. Here you go.
Giving our voters an opportunity to make a decision for themselves. And by the time we had to make a decision, it was too late.
By the way, it's just 3 straight nominations where Democratic voters didn't get a chance to pick the nominee. The elites picked Hillary Clinton, the elites picked Joe Biden, and the elites picked Kamala Harris. There was no actual set of voters who felt like they had a say in this.
Democrats, we should have had a primary for this midterm election, and we didn't. And so now we're living with the consequences of it. I hope that our party wakes up and realizes it. But there's a reality in that we should have given our voters an opportunity to make a decision for themselves.
So who's the king now? Who is the king now? Or the kings? Who are the kings now? The Democrats that didn't let you vote for your nominees? Or President Trump, who won the unanimous vote?
And by the time...
Or the popular vote?
We had to make a decision. It was too late.
By the way, it's just 3 straight nominations.
You see that?
Prince, Reza Pahlavi. You saw it right there. Compare that to one of the other speakers immediately right after him. Here you can see someone is on stage and the room is just empty. All of these empty seats, empty rows. That's why the media, the Democrats, were making fun of CPAC this year. Oh, it was low energy. It was depressed turnout. No one showed up. But they went to the wrong events. We saw huge turnout for Reza Pahlavi, also Benny Johnson. There were several speakers.
Excellent point by Bilsh. Communists have elections, but no choices. And that's what happened with the Democrats,
who were able to pack out that room. But it's really difficult, of course, to pack out the room every single speaker because they also have smaller rooms, smaller breakout sessions, and different panels happening at the same time. So it's just something that the media, they don't give context to what they cover here. But again, it's really interesting because we're being told, we're being spoon-fed this narrative that what's happening in Iran is super unpopular. Oh, just look at the polling. No one supports this. Even conservatives and MAGA, they're turning on President Trump. Yet here you see at CPAC, there was huge ovation, just a ton of energy around the exiled crown prince. Now, riddle me this. If what's happening in the Middle East, if what's happening in Iran is so unpopular, even among traditional Republicans, then why was there that sort of reaction, that sort of reception at CPAC?
Oh, I found one of my favorite ones, guys. And I think we're going to go out on this one. Here we go. Here's another great one. Hold on.
Do women have penises?
So
hold on. Hold on.
So I believe that women.
Democrats have gone so crazy. Women can have penises. That's not a thing. That's not biology. It's not science. And you sound like a lunatic.
And the women.
Should young girls.
Hold on. Let me hit it again. Hold on.
Do women have penises?
So I believe that women.
Democrats have gone so crazy. Women can have penises. That's not a thing. That's not biology. It's not science. And you sound like a lunatic.
And the women.
Should young girls just get used to penises in their locker rooms and showers? My next question, yes or no? Should little girls get used to penises in their locker rooms and showers?
Wow.
Yes or no?
I don't know what you're talking about, but what I will say.
Oh, I absolutely do. We've heard testimony today about trans women. Those are women with penises. Those aren't real women. If a man can be a woman, just identify as a woman, as you say, just by saying so, what is the point of having women's sports? What is the point of women's spaces? What is the point of women's scholarships? If you're just going to allow men to take them away, why even bother? Why bother? Do women have penises?
Someone in the chat, and I'll pull up the video again. Someone in the chat said, this dude said Biden didn't get the Democratic primary. Biden did not get voted for to become your presidential nominee. I didn't say it. Listen to your own CNN. Listen.
By the way, it's just 3 straight nominations where Democratic voters didn't get a chance to pick the nominee. The elites picked Hillary Clinton, the elites picked Joe Biden, and the elites picked Kamala Harris. There was no actual set of voters who felt like they had a say in this.
Democrats, we should have had a primary.
These are your own. This is your own mainstream media, CNN fake news that said it to you. Remember, you guys don't think anymore. You guys watch CNN to tell you what to think. So here's your CNN. Hold on. Where's this one? What happened to this one? Open here. Let's see.
Was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
Thank you.
We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
Thank you.
Oh, man. It's too easy.
Black Americans have played the role of suckers to the Democratic Party. They've guilted us into voting for them, making us feel as if we're going to be ostracized. They wanted to make sure, we're going to point to racism. We're going to guilt you into voting for us. We're not going to talk about the things that we're doing positively. We're going to talk about what the other side is doing negatively to engage in fear-mongering to help you, through fear factor, go our way instead of theirs. And it didn't work this time. And to be quite honest with you, even though I might not like some of the things I'm seeing from the Trump administration thus far, the bottom line is I'm glad it didn't work, because I think for the longest time, Black Americans have played the role of suckers to the Democratic Party.
Yep, that's right. There's a lot of good ones in here that I forgot about. A lot of good ones. Like this guy who was the president of the USA Fencing Organization.
Do you think that men should be allowed in women's locker rooms?
I don't have a personal opinion on
You don't have you have a personal opinion on a lot of things, but not on that?
Sure. I mean, it's a locker room is not really an area where people interact.
So the answer is yes. There's oftentimes communal showers. Are you okay?
By the way, these are your 2028 Gavin Newsom voters right here.
With men showering with women?
I don't have an opinion.
This guy. This guy's the first guy that's going to go to the voting booth to vote for Gavin Newsom in 2028.
Opinion on that in the context of USA?
You don't. Interesting. That's an astounding thing to not have an opinion on. I think most normal people have an opinion on that. Are you okay with women being at a disadvantage when competing against men in sports?
Sir, mixed events.
Yep. And then one of my favorites, but I'm not going to play it. But here's another one. Trump being Trump, dude. Look at him. Look at the way he looks over at him. Look at this. The guy's falling asleep.
La France salue avec respect et gravité les morts des autres nations que jadis elle a combattu. Gravité. Les morts des autres nations que jadis
the king of
elle a
Morocco,
combattu.
Asleep.
La France salue avec respect et gravité les morts des autres nations que jadis elle a combattu.
I love it. I love it. And then you got Bernie Sanders.
We talk a lot about the Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs and taking over democracy, but from the Democrat perspective, and I'm a lifelong Democrat, I felt like the Democratic Party completely removed the democratic process from its constituents.
Could we not also say, if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? Yes. We often hear...
Fair enough. That is, yeah, I'm not going to argue with that point.
Listen to this, bro. The guy, the No Kings guy himself, admitting that his own party has not allowed them to vote for their own presidents. Who are the kings, bro? Listen to this.
We talk a lot about the Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs and taking over democracy, but from the Democrat perspective, and I'm a lifelong Democrat, I felt like the Democratic Party completely removed the democratic process from its constituents.
Could we not also say, if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? Yes. We often hear...
Fair enough. That is, yeah, I'm not going to argue with that point.
We talk a lot about...
Yeah, that's a big one. And you know what?
We talk a lot about the...
Let's see.
Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs.
I need to post that. I'll put that over here and save that. Let's see. So that's a big problem. That is a big problem. I think we got I got one more that I have saved here. I have one more that I want to play. It's on my saved. Hold on. Where are you? Right here.
Of America begins right now. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. From this moment on, America's decline is over. The journey to reclaim our republic has not been an easy one, that I can tell you. Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then...
This is exactly right, Aquariums. Aquarium says, remember when Bernie was far left? Now the far left makes him look moderate. That's what's happened. And we all talk about it and people brush it off, but the left moves so far left that those of us that I was left. I literally was left, and I talk about this all the time. If you know me, you know. Not long ago, too. But now I'm standing slightly towards the right. I'm leaning right. I'm not far right. I'm leaning right. Well, to you guys, I guess this would be your right. And now I'm leaning right. The Democrat Party, where I was in the left, right? I was in the left right here. The Democrats are all the way over there. Now, where I'm standing is leaning right. That's what's happened. And by the way, this is the inauguration last year.
And believe even more so now that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. for American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. To the Black and Hispanic communities, I want to thank you for the tremendous outpouring of love and trust that you have shown me with your vote. We set records, and I will not forget it. I've heard your voices in the campaign, and I look forward to working with you in the years to come. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and his honor, this will be a great honor, but in his honor we will strive together to make his dream a reality. We will make his dream come true.
I got two more and then we're going to call it. So I got one more here. Let me pull this up if I can pop this in here. And where is she at? Oh, did I lose it? Did I lose it? 1 second. I got two more, and one of them is Charlie Kirk. One of them is Charlie Kirk. We're going to do that one in a second here.
In terms of his voter turnout.
Election by less than 50%. So what kind of mandate is this?
I'm no supporter of Trump. I'm a supporter of truth and the facts. And here's the facts. The man won every swing state. He increased in terms of his voter turnout in his favor from the standpoint of blacks, Latinos, and young voters. He increased his numbers in that regard from 2020. 89% of the counties shifted to the right. That's a mandate. We can sit up there and play around all we want to. In 2020, Trump didn't win the popular vote. He didn't win the electoral college vote. A matter of fact, the Republicans hadn't won the popular vote, if I remember correctly, since 2004. Yeah. But they did this year. So 20 years after they last won the popular vote, they won the popular vote. They won the electoral college vote. The man won every swing state. And on top of it all, 89% of the counties shifted against. I don't understand how people can look at that and say, there's no mandate. There's a mandate.
Well, it's a different definition of a mandate, I guess.
But the problem is that if you're the Democratic Party and you lost 49.8% to 48.3%, and you're looking at that 1.5% dip, that's an excuse for you to say, what we did really wasn't that bad.
Some people didn't
we should continue to do that. Don't continue to do it. Find a new.
Yeah, please continue to do what you're doing. So here's the other one with Charlie Kirk, and this one will go out on, because this is America. Let's do it. Let's do it. Hold on. Let me pull this up for us. Here we go. We know this one.
Like yourself. Do you think that's a little bit silly?
Are you
proud of yourself for debating college kids who are unprepared to speak in front of an audience like yourself? Do you think that's a little bit silly?
Are you a voter?
I am a voter. I'm a registered voter.
I vote and you vote. So I'm talking to voters of this country that will determine the future of Western civilization. That's what I'm doing here today. Yeah? Wait, hold on. How is it any different than a professor talking to you?
Than a professor talking to you? Who are you?
Well, important enough for you to come up to a microphone. But no, I just want to be clear. Is there something wrong with talking to voters?
No, there's nothing wrong with talking to voters.
Well, that's what we're doing here today. It's an open mic.
I think that you push a dangerous agenda.
Such as?
The way that you edit content and specifically frame it so that people look bad talking to you. The way that you edit your content.
We post unedited content.
Post unedited content. Guys, thank you for subscribing. I'm going to be back later on today. I'm going to go to the gym, get a workout. And you guys go work out as well. If you're not working out, go do something, move around a little bit. I always tell you that on the stream. It's good for your head, good for your mind, good for your body. Go get a workout. I will too. We'll be back on. We'll learn a little more together. Thank you again, guys. Thank you all, everyone else that's been here since the beginning. Love you guys so much. Yes. Thank you, Jennifer and everyone. That's right, Nurse Terry and Aquariums and all you guys, everyone. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate having you guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Have a good one. See you soon. Bye.